Before we start, I do want to apologize for not uploading last week. Just little technical issues. It's mostly my fault. So really apologize for that. But it was an absolute amazing game Friday, so we're excited for this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Digital Den and our weekly coaches show. No weekly upload. We are excited to have you guys back join in. We are excited to have Coach Marksbury back in the studio. And I mean, easily, not even a debate at this point, the greatest game of the year so far. Just an absolute, I mean, not the game I don't think any of us really expected, but a game that we all deserved. An amazing thriller in Desales. And I know, you've been smiling today. I can just see you kind of glowing. I mean, just with what this season has meant to you as a coach, I mean, what can't you say about this team, about that win?
Well, I mean, it was huge. It was, getting to the region championship game and, going on the road, winning at their place in a really neat environment. They had a hostile crowd there that was really into the game there for us, and they were kind of giving us the business on the sideline. There's no room on the side. You're backed up against their bleachers, and there's nowhere to really move and everything like that. But no, it's a very rewarding game, and especially for our kids to sit there after a 1-4 start, and now we've won 6 out of our last 7, and we stand at 7-5 and playing in a region championship. And it's very, very rewarding. And as we were talking before we went on here, just the way the fans, the students, and everybody turned out, and I think it kind of surprised Desales at the number of people that we had there for the game. So it was really fun.
Yeah, and I do want to dive into this game and just talk about everything that happened, because there was a lot. And, I tend to get a little cloudy in memory just remembering the end and the celebration. But starting out that game, I think it was a bit colder than it was supposed to be. Not terribly cold or anything like that. So warm-ups, the 40-minute drive up, how was that pregame for you guys?
Yeah, everything was fine. Everything went. We got out of here and got there in plenty of time. They had nice facilities for us. We actually dressed in their gym and everything. So everything was fine. It was everything went according to plan, had plenty of time during warm-ups. We weren't rushed. We didn't have a lot of time to kill. Everything went smooth. The game got started, and it really helps us with some of the environments that we played in. So, I mean, everything went according to plan, and then we got in the game and, just kind of unfolded. I thought that we would be able to score on them. It did surprise me a little bit. They had a couple of plays that they made on us that were just, honestly, kids just making plays, and those things happen. But, in the end, it all worked out.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I feel like this has happened to us twice now where we've lost that opening onside kick. And we didn't open with the onside kick, but we get that opening fumble and then score quick. And although it was a back-and-forth game, how important is that quick start, especially for this team? How important is it for you guys?
Well, I mean, it was good to get us. I would like to have gotten a touchdown out of that first fumble, but hey, Kyle came in and he kicked the field goal. As I think that makes him 6 out of 6 on the year. I'd like to have been able to get a touchdown out of that, but then we kicked off to them. They drove down. But the key thing of the game in a back and forth, and people always ask, like, why do you always defer, or why do teams not want the ball? But the key moment in the game was we had the last possession of the first half and scored, and then got the first possession of the second half and scored. And that gave us the separation to where they never had the ball until the last 40 seconds of the game where they could have taken the lead. And that's the only time you can get back-to-back possessions, and we did it. We scored on the end of the second half and scored the first possession of the second half, and that basically put us up 2 scores, and they were having to scramble the rest of the game trying to get back into it. So.
I think the quote-unquote Spencer County football way is you grind out a win, run it, drain the clock, low-scoring game. This was not at all what we had on Friday. I forget the end score. We won by 5, 42-37. A high-scoring game on both sides, and just like big play after big play from both teams. And in that first half specifically, I always will take my chance to brag on this guy. Drew Barron
Yes.
had a fantastic
Yes.
and a game where it's not like he's been hot. I mean, he's been quiet because haven't really needed to use them, and then we needed every part of what he gave us today. What can you say about just staying ready, staying locked in from Drew Barron?
Well, that's the way we the way we run the ball. The opportunities for big plays are always there, and that's because people are having to come to the line of scrimmage to stop a running game, and then we fake it, and then we've got athletes, Drew, running behind defenses, and those kids were scrambling, and those are just little tweaks that we put in the offense, and we. The previous week when we played Nelson and Western and all that, we had formations that it was 100% run. Every time we got in that formation, we ran the ball. Well, we put in a little tweak, and we gave them the same formation. They think it's a run. They all come running the line of scrimmage, and we've got Drew running a post behind him, and he made a play on the ball. And, it's the way you got playmakers. You got to try to find opportunities, get the ball in their hands, and do what they do best. And Drew's strong suit is – making contested catches and stuff like that. So that's exact one-on-one, go up and get the ball. That's where he's at his best.
I mean, I don't feel like I need to even be a Spencer County football historian to know, like, this is one of the best athletes that we've had catching the ball. He's made. Of course, the Henry County catch was phenomenal. The 2 at North Oldham, and then the 1 over the middle on Friday. I mean, he just continues to show up. He's just been a huge part of the success.
Absolutely. And he made a huge interception on defense.
Yeah, I mean, and then right after, scoring. That was a great sequence from Drew. Got the "We Love Drew" chant from the student section that I may or may not have been behind. But I always take a chance to brag on any of my basketball guys. And then another guy I want to talk about. Tanner Schuler recovered 6 fumbles or something.
Well, I mean, you need to be lucky. Yeah. And honestly, our first drive, we go down there, Kellen fumbles, Brody fumbles twice. Yeah. So in that one, and we're pouncing on fumbles, and I really don't know what it is because that's not an issue that we have fumbling, but it was just one of those things we went through the other night, and a couple of them we've got the ball on the wrong arm, and it's like Kellen was going in there and he had the ball on the outside arm, but he took contact from the outside instead of the inside. It kind of popped out, and we've got it. And then Brody fumbled it again. But yeah, you got to have some breaks, and we did. We caught a couple of breaks on that, and then after that, we kind of just took control, and we continued to run the ball. But probably the most rewarding thing of the entire night was. They had just had that huge play where they threw the screen and they went 75 or 80 yards for a touchdown, and they cut it to 42-37. We get the ball, and there's 6 minutes and 50 seconds left, and they have 3 timeouts. And we proceed to run 13 plays.
Yeah. I mean, you got to under a minute.
Yeah. And got 4 or 5 first downs, and sucked it down to 40 seconds. And basically, they had to use all their timeouts, and they got the ball back with 40 seconds and had to go 82 yards. And to be able to do that when they know that you're going to run the ball and everything like that, and we just kept grinding it out.
That was Spencer County.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. Yeah. I mean, because we really didn't want to give them the ball back and have to punt it to them and give them 4 or 5 minutes. And even though we knew we had faith in our defense that we could get some stops, but I mean, it was one of those things that when that other team across from you knows that you're going to run it, and we just kept running it and grinding first downs out. That's championship.
Well, football. I do want to ask about that last drive. We were up 5, and if you take a field goal, which I think we were in field goal range, you get up 8, so you're safe from losing in regulation. What was the decision to not?
Well,
take that
it's
field
just
goal?
a lot. It's just a lot that we'd had a couple of high snaps earlier. We had them one blocked, even though Kyle made his first field goal. It was just one of those things we felt it was going to be probably in the neighborhood of 37 yards. I think we were inside the 20, but it was still going to be 30-plus yard field goal. And, we had just punted. Quite honestly, the snap had bounced back to the punter, and we were just sitting there thinking, probably the only way we are going to lose this game is a bad snap, a block kick where they scoop it up and run it back for a touchdown, and you're out of a situation. So we knew that, if we, first of all, liked to have completed the pass over the middle on fourth down, and that would have ended it for good. But anyway, it didn't. But we also knew there was 40 seconds left, and they have no timeouts. And, of course, people asked me over the weekend, well, they had scored really easy. But the difference is there's 40 seconds. They have to go 82 yards. We're not defending the whole field. So they can run a little hitch and throw it to them, and we're not trying to keep them from getting a first down. We're trying to keep them from getting a touchdown, and that's a totally different scenario of playing defense. It's just you just play back, let them catch it, and rally. And, for a team with 40 seconds and no timeouts in high school, it's not very many. Plus, a high school quarterback, throws it 30 or 40 yards in the air. So, I mean, it's just we had Kellen back deep, the fastest guy on our team, to try to, if something crazy were to happen. But we also put Eric in to rush the quarterback, and he got some pressure on the quarterback. So there was a lot of scenarios that the only way we felt that we were going to lose it, and not that we didn't have confidence that Kyle could kick it, but it's an operation, a snap, a hold, a kick, blocking, and everything, and just didn't want to take a chance of it. And you even see it in the NFL and college. A lot of times you do not want to get that kick blocked, because then you're out of sorts and somebody scoops it up and heads the other way, and it's a touchdown. There's really nothing you can do. So we thought the safest thing was just put our defense out there. And
so as much faith than we have as Kyle kicking a field.
Oh, no, he's 6 for 6. He's 6 for 6.
We don't have the faith that he can get a chase down tackle.
Well, it's not that. Well, he can do that too, but it's just one of those things we just felt like that was the only. And look, he's 6 for 6 on a year. It's not a reflection on him at all. It was just, I think most football coaches would tell you you do not want to, especially, have them having to go 80-plus yards. So, that was, and it worked out.
Hindsight being 20/20, you made the right choice.
I
remember being there, and when I think it was the second one when the ball just kind of like, I don't think it got blocked. It was just kind of a dud of a extra point. I remember looking around and being like, Kyle's going to have a chance to hit a big field goal. And my prediction was so close to coming true. So that was the only reason that,
Now, I do kind of second guess the thought of after we got the extra point blocked, we didn't want to chase points after that. We didn't want to start going for two and chase. So we just decided to kick the extra point. And then when we missed the extra point, we felt like at that time we needed to start going for two to try to get those. But then we had some failures. We got 1 2-point conversion, then we missed a couple. So at the end, I was like, man, I felt like maybe I should have kicked more of the extra points. But, in the end, it all worked out. There were so many decisions that you're having to make and quick time and everything like that. But, it all worked out. We have a really good kicker, and, we've got a defense that we trusted and everything like that. So, but I do feel there was never, and that was 100% across. There was not one coach on our sidelines that thought the kicking the field goal there was even an option. And that's not a reflection on our kicker. It's just too many things can go wrong that could really put you in a bad spot.
It started off great for the kicking unit, but it was a rough night for a kicker.
Well, but that's the
the
kicking unit. Sometimes that everybody looks at that and looks at the kicker, but it's an operation. It's a snap. It's a hold. It's a block. And even on the block extra point,
not having all the guys out there.
Yeah, we had a guy get injured, and quite honestly, he didn't communicate. It wasn't communicated to us that he couldn't go back out there. So he doesn't go, so we've got 10 men, and they come right off the edge where he's supposed to be. And, that's coaching that, that's something that as coaches we've got to catch. But anyway, the other thing, too, is it's really when you get a kick blocked, that's sometimes can get mentally into people's heads, too. And, it's tough. But when we're very fortunate to have Kyle. He's 6 out, and I would venture a guess that's probably best in the state. I mean, at all classes probably. 100%, 6 out of 6 on your field goals. That's pretty solid.
It's very good. Well, let's talk about Danny real quick, because although he doesn't get typically those huge 60-yard touchdowns or whatever, and those huge runs up the middle, he just kind of chips away yardage. He's been a huge part of our success.
Right.
And seeing him go out of the game in such a big game was. I think just kind of the punch in the gut for everybody who's watched him this year. Is he okay? I mean, what
yeah, I mean, he was here this morning. I mean, we'll have to see how he feels today about going, and how the severity of the injury. But I will say this: yes, it was phenomenal to get him going, because in our offense we need the fullback going. But I will tell you, Keenan coming in, and the thing that you notice from the sidelines for us, Keenan's just bigger, and when they tackle him, he's going forward.
Yeah.
And when they tackle him, they'll hit him for 2 yards, but he ends up getting 4. They hit him for 3 and he gets 5, or they hit him at the line of scrimmage and he gets 2 yards. And that's just huge. And especially when we were trying to grind the clock out, a 3 or 4 yard gain, and it's just that was huge. Kudos, because I think Keenan was 12 carries for 47 yards or something like that. So, it's about 4 yards a carry, but those were like big yards that he was getting.
I mean, on that last drive, him and I think Brody was running a little angry. Just
he was.
And they both, they would hit the hole, and like you said, it was like, 3 yard gain. Then you look at the chains moving a little extra, and it's, that was like a 6 yard gain right there, and keeping those chains moving. That last drive, that was a.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, my nails are gone. I'm not gonna lie to you. I went to the.
Well, I didn't want to give him the ball back.
I went to Saturday morning.
We trust our defense, but I sure didn't want to give him the ball back.
I went to Saturday morning basketball practice, and 2 of my fingers are bleeding. I've bitten them down so much. And of course, the last play of the game. Last real play of the game. Brady's done it twice now on 2 game-winning attempted drives where he just makes a play. And how they played the whole night, like we would get out 2 possessions, and then it was a quick drive, a big play downfield, they'd score, and it was right back to the holy crap. As a coach, getting in that position and seeing that ball fly deep downfield, and then your guy comes up with it, what was the feeling, if you can even really describe it, what was that feeling?
Well, we have a bad angle from where we were, but Brady is a kid that just from the beginning of the year, he's a really hard worker. He's very attentive, and he cares, and that's probably the biggest thing is he really, really cares. And, I had the utmost confidence in him making a play. We were not at the best angle on the sideline. They were running away from us, but, I had the confidence if he had the opportunity to make the play, he would. And, they scored 37. Probably there was only one touchdown that really upset me, and that was the last one they scored where they just threw the screen out there. We've got 5 guys out there, and all 5 of our guys are looking at the other guy thinking that he's going to make the tackle. And then next thing you know, he gets head of steam and he's gone. The other, you're going to give up a couple of touchdowns on drives and everything, but like the one over Drew had phenomenal coverage. He played the ball. The ball just goes right over his fingertips into the arms of the guy, and he goes for a touchdown. And the other one was a little fox screen they ran on Paxton was there. It was just a good throw, and the kid made a play. So those 2 touchdowns there, our kids did what they were supposed to do, but they made a play, and usually every time they made a play, we answered it and made a play. So that's good. But the only one that really upset me was that last one they scored a screen, because that should never happen. That should never. And then I was disappointed when they tried to fake the punt that we didn't take advantage of that and do something with it on offense. But that's here nor there. Hey, we got to win.
Very, very critical of a phenomenal game, and I mean it was a game where it was just just a tennis match, just back and forth. And I do want to say about that Drew one. It was number 4, and there was a rivalry between the student section and number 4 the entire night. So that one kind of cut a little bit deeper.
I heard. I hear there was some banter back and forth from hitting the.
Oh, it was very friendly. Yeah, no, very friendly for sure. This is the big one. We are into the region championship. Paducah Tillman.
Yeah.
Phenomenal program, history, team. I mean, everything you can say. And the elephant in the room is that, in my opinion, the elephant in the room is the belief from everyone, I think for 3 weeks now, is that Spencer County is not going to win. And then we got to Desales. No one thought we were going to win. And now we're in Paducah Tillman. And not only does everybody outside not think we're going to win, but I don't think there's a lot of people who are even in Spencer County's walls who give us much of a shot. And I know this group is very workmanlike, and we say that they're very even steady, but that's got to be something where it's like, well, maybe we are too far, or maybe we've been off a little bit too much. How, as a head coach, do you talk to the guys and get them going against that?
Well, the first thing you have to realize is there's a reason they play the games. Look, I am not going to sugarcoat it. They are a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The top 6 teams in 4A are about as good a teams as there are in the state at any classification. I mean, when you take Boyle, Corbin, Covington Catholic, Paducah Tillman,
Franklin County.
Franklin County, even Ashland. Those teams are like elite, and it's just one of those things. But I can tell you one thing: they haven't seen the wing tee. Mm-hmm. They've seen spread teams, and I'm gonna tell you, we have a way of frustrating people with our offense. Now then, they are. I think Paducah Tillman is probably. I don't know this for sure, but I'm. Seems like it's in my memory. They are a top 5 or top 10 all-time wins football program in the country. Not just the state of Kentucky, like in the country. It's them and Mayfield and maybe Fort Thomas Highlands or something like that. I think we have 3 schools that are real high up there. But look, it's a tremendous challenge. But when you get to this level, it's going to be a challenge. Yeah. They have phenomenal athletes. That they're everywhere, all over the field. They have a huge line, a really dynamic quarterback that can throw the ball. And, it's just we just got to come up with a game plan and execute it. And I just know this, our kids they're going to be attentive to the game plan, and we will have a game plan, and we will go down and we'll try to execute it to the best of our ability. And, I've seen, I would probably venture a guess when we went to Bullitt East last year, nobody gave us a shot to win it. Bullitt East last year, and I've been on teams that were heavy favorites, and we went in, and that teams have beaten us when we were heavy favorites. So I mean, it happens. It's why they play the games, and just to be real honest, if we go down there and play our best game and they play their best game, it's probably not. It's going to be tough for us. But you know what? A batted ball here. Punt return for a touchdown here, a couple of turnovers, and next thing you know, you're hanging in the game. I will say this: the schedule we played has got us for that. The thing that really is concerning about it is just their team speed. I mean, it's just it's their speed's dynamic. It's electric, really. I mean, it's but we just got to understand leverage and understand how to corral them and you get people to the ball and everything like that. And but it's exciting. Hey, look, it's something that you look at that these kids will remember, and you just never know. You just go down, play the game, you come up with a game plan, and just see where you are, and you battle and you play. And there's been some teams that I feel like we're better than that. It's been a couple of score game in the first half and stuff. And we just have to play our game and try to frustrate them and make them anxious and make them do some things that they're not used to doing, and see where it leaves us at the end. But I'm proud of our guys, and I know they're going to go and they'll put forth a good effort, and they'll be a strong representative of our school and community here.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference in the way that football and basketball games and success shapes out is in basketball. If you're playing a team that's just if they're better than you, you can just get hot, really hot.
Yes.
They can play a bad game, not be hot. In football, you can be in a zone, but getting hot is not really a thing. Like, you can crack off a couple plays. What you can do is capture momentum and keep momentum a lot easier in football. So, of course, if you get a couple turnovers on Friday, that's a huge thing. Winning that turnover battle is going to be massive for us. But game plan-wise, how do you game plan for Paducah
Well,
Tillman?
we know what they're doing defensively, and they're fast. So, it's one of those things. First of all, we can't hurt ourselves. And when I say that, we can't go down there and jump off sides and start 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15. We have to go down there with a plan. We have to use the entire play clock, which you get 40 seconds between plays, and we map everything out. We know how long it takes us to get out of the huddle. We will use 40 seconds on every play, and what that does is it eliminates instead of Paducah Tillman getting 10 possessions, maybe they only get 8 possessions, and you go from there. And we have to understand that a 3-yard gain is good, and if we get it 4th and 1, we're going to go for it, and we're going to try to keep the chains moving, and just to understand that 3 or 4 yards or 2 or 3 yards, and then get rid of the ball out of Jarrett's hands fast, running hitches and slants and taking a couple of shots downfield and everything like that. And they're just like every other defense. I mean, they're really good, but there's some things that when you scout them and everything, there's some things that you can find that maybe you might be able to take advantage of. And you just try to go down there and stay in the game and put some game pressure on them and everything like that, and just see how it goes. But they're really good, and I'm excited to see our kids get the opportunity to match up against them. And it's a great facility, very tradition-rich program, and it's going to be fun for our kids to be able to experience that.
Yeah, this is not a game where you want to go into the half losing, obviously, but where you're at a point where you got to scramble and get back in the game, because I don't feel like this Spencer County team is a team that is built to make these comeback runs, and I don't feel like it's a team we're going up against that's going to allow it to be very easy to get back in the game. So how important is it? Obviously, if you could just force a fumble on the opening kickoff and get the ball, it'd be great. But what is the game plan to come out fast? Is that an emphasis for you?
Well, the first thing you have to their speed is probably the fastest team we've ever played here. Their speed is they have such good. We're not going to take the ball and run XB sweep and Kellen go 80 yards just like that. It's just not. It's not feasible. Now, we can have some plays where we get 30 or 40 or 50 yards, but their speed is so elite that they're going to run us down. We just have to understand we can't turn it over. We have to accept 3-yard gains. We have to take a shot when we can, but our biggest ally is to keep the clock moving and shorten the game. And look, I'm just telling you, it has an effect on the mental aspect if you can just take, and it frustrates them. Then because look, we know how to take our offense and manipulate things and false pull and block down, and we're going outside and just keep everything and give bad reads and try to mess with the defense. And that's what we're going to try to do. But the key thing is just understanding, look, we need 6, 8, 10 play drives, taking 40 seconds with every play and everything like that. And then, just see where we are at the end and, try to get a couple of touchdowns on there and, try to hold them, 28, 35 points and just see if we can score enough to hang in there with them. Because you're not going to go down. They're too athletic. They're going to score. It's just we have to do our part to try to, instead of keeping them from letting them score 50, let's try to keep them to 35. And you sit there and we say, oh, you're holding them to 35 as a goal. Well, they average 55. So holding them to 35 would be a huge accomplishment. So that's what I'm saying. But look, it's what happens. I mean, that's where we are. And you know what? Hey, I'm anxious to see how we match up. I want to see how our kids compete. That's what I want. I want them to go down there and not be intimidated and go down there and play. And they shouldn't be. I mean, look, we've earned the right. Look, we were 1-4. And we won 6 out of our last 7 games, and we haven't won those games against chopped liver. There's a couple of games in there against teams that we were clearly better than, but look, we played some really good football teams, and we won those games, and we've earned the right to see where we match up. And I told the team on Friday night before we went out there, I said we're going to put our heads on the pillows on Friday night, and there's going to be 8 teams left in our class for a state championship, and by gosh, we want to be one of them, and we were one of those 8, and we are. And Next week, there's going to be 4 left, and we want to be one of those 4. And we understand that it's going to take a really good – we're going to have to play near perfect football. Yeah. And you know what? But it happens all the time. It happens every weekend that a team is a 4-touchdown underdog and they find a way. And that's the way we're going to approach it. And we want our kids to have fun and enjoy it and, just stay healthy and everything like that. That's the key.
I mean, I just kind of sat here and smiled thinking about where we've come from and where we are now, being 8 teams left. That's a huge accomplishment, and we have an even bigger one coming up Friday. I do want to ask, they are going to score. And,
yes,
from the sounds of it, they could score a lot.
Yeah.
So how do we keep them from getting to that 55? Is it just game control? Like, what is the plan? How do you stop them?
Well, first of all, you can't do the same thing every play. Their quarterback is too good. You can't do the same thing every time and just let the quarterback know exactly what you're doing. So you have to mix things up. Our biggest fear is the quick stuff, the bubbles, the quick screens, to where when they get the ball in their hands, they're just so dynamic athletically. It's it's almost like trying to catch a mouse. I mean, they're just so dynamic. You just have to be perfect in the way you attack them and leverage the ball and everything. So, we just want to mix it up sometimes and show something, let them get their play called in. Maybe we're showing one defense and then we bail to a different defense and we confuse them a little bit. And we've got all their game films, so we know the teams that we can look at every one of those game films and see that what other teams have done to try to frustrate them and maybe have some success at stopping them. And Mayfield's played them the closest. They lost 35-28. So, we've got that film and getting an idea on what they did. And, but I think one thing in our favor is we have an offense that we are built to frustrate to the clock. Because I understand that's what Shelby County did to us when we played them. They chewed the clock up, and every time we got the ball back, I felt like I had to score real fast, and it got me out of I called a bad game because I was anxious and I panicked, and so that can happen to a play caller when they're used to getting the ball and doing whatever they want. You want to try to put some game pressure on them. It's easy to throw when you're up 28-7 or something like that. But if you got game pressure on, let's see how they respond to that. And, hopefully we can do that. I mean, look, I have much respect for them and their program and, the way they've, but, we're going to go down there and see what we can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, how does a program like Paducah Tillman, how do they keep being so good? Like, what is that built on?
Well, it's built on, one thing that I have researched since I've been here, you have it's tradition, and then the number one thing is when any program that you see that is successful at the high school level, it all starts in their youth program. Mm-hmm. That's where it starts. I mean, Franklin County, it starts in their youth program, and it comes up from their youth program, and their high school coaches have a hand in that, and they work with those kids, and they help put the coaches in place at the youth program, and then it goes all the way up to the middle school. And that any program that is any quality at all, that's where it starts, and it's just a belief. And that's where it goes. But they're tradition, man. It's all tradition. I don't know, probably 10 or 12 state championships they've won, probably. And then here's the other thing: you go to the state track meet every year. They're up there at the top in the state track meet. Yeah. So, I mean, so there you go. Those guys that run track.
When you get to the elementary school, get some cones, get some speed ladders out there. Get the
there you go. Yeah. That would help. That would help. But anyway, it's exciting.
And then also, I think a big thing is 3.5 hour drive for the team.
We're mapping that out. We don't know how. We're trying to figure out the best way to handle this trip. So
this is what high school is made of. I mean, these road trips with the team.
Yes, absolutely.
Just being on a miserable bus for so long. I mean, you hate it in the moment, but when you look back, that's what's so special. Oh,
absolutely. This is Friday. We're going to try to make sure that this is a neat moment. And
I hope we can get some buses going. The message to those fans at the Desales game.
The environment at Desales was. And, the thing that makes those wins great is the fact that probably Desales fans and maybe their player, they never see it coming. Mm-hmm. There was it never entered their mind that they were going to lose to Spencer County. And other coaches did. Their coaches knew that we were going to be a handful. But some of those people just looked, there is no way that we're going to lose to Spencer County. And then that makes it even a little bit sweeter.
Well, Coach, let's go make history.
Let's go. Blue Paducah Tillman Blue Tornado. Yeah. That's their mascot, the Blue Tornado.
Well, I think Bears are good in nature.
The Bears, yeah.
Bears are good with tornadoes.
We can handle that.
Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and I mean, we're excited. 8 teams left, and Spencer County, from where we came from, is one of those teams, and that will always be. I mean, that will always give me goosebumps, I think, when I say it out loud. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you coming back out. And we appreciate you winning, that we can keep doing these things. Definitely going to be doing it next week. Let's make it 2 more, though.
All right.
Appreciate you guys. See you next time.